You sit on the couch. The day is technically over. You've replied to the emails, the calls, the messages. You've crossed things off the list. You even gave yourself permission to rest. But there's still a hum in your body, a restlessness, a mental noise that doesn't match the quiet in the room. And you think, why do I still feel like I haven't done enough? Why can't I relax? It's because exhaustion is not always physical. It's psychological, emotional, energetic. And some of the heaviest things you carry are things you can't see. Jung called this psychic tension, the invisible weight of unresolved emotions, conflicting desires, repressed fears, unintegrated thoughts. You might look calm on the outside, but inside, you're fighting battles no one sees. And here's the real kicker. This invisible weight drains more energy than any task. It's why you can sleep for 10 hours and still wake up tired. Why a weekend off doesn't restore you. Why even when nothing is wrong, something still feels heavy. Because rest isn't about doing nothing. It's about releasing what you're holding. But most people don't know how to release. They know how to distract, to scroll, to binge, to relax with noise. But distraction is not decompression. And without decompression, your nervous system stays activated. Not because you're in danger, but because it's still bracing, still processing, still waiting for you to turn inward and actually listen. This is what we'll explore today. Not just the mechanics of fatigue, but the psychology behind it, the unconscious dynamics that drain us, the emotional loads we carry, the protective patterns we inherited, and most importantly, how to release them, how to restore not just your body, but your whole system, your energy, your clarity, your presence. Carl Jung once said, "Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health." But he didn't mean the kind of chronic tension we normalize. He meant the kind of friction that leads to depth, that invites integration, that pulls us inward toward truth. The problem today is not that we have difficulty. It's that we resist it, bury it, distract from it. We carry the surface of our lives while the roots rot from neglect. We treat symptoms and ignore the cause. We take supplements and ignore our sadness. We chase motivation and suppress our unmet needs. And then we wonder why our energy feels fragmented, our focus scattered, our bodies fatigued. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about what you're really holding. That unspoken guilt when you say no. That invisible pressure to be everything for everyone. That subtle shame for needing rest. That grief you didn't name. That identity you outgrew but keep performing. That dream you let die quietly. That voice that says, "You're not allowed to stop." These don't live in your schedule. They live in your cells, and they leak energy every day. Your exhaustion is not laziness. It's information. It's your psyche asking you to look inward, to slow down, not to collapse, but to reclaim. Reclaim the parts of you that you exiled in the name of survival. Reclaim the truths you buried under performance. Reclaim the silence you forgot how to hear. The silence you forgot how to hear holds more power than any productivity hack you've ever tried. Because in silence, the truth becomes audible. And truth, even when painful, is lighter than pretense. Jung called this confronting the shadow. Not to shame it, but to meet it. To look into the chaos without being swallowed. To say, "I see you. I'm here now." You don't have to scream anymore. What's screaming inside you quietly? For many, it's the fatigue of performance. The act you've maintained for years. The smile when you want to cry. The "I'm fine" when you're breaking. The competence that hides your fear of collapse. Holding that mask costs energy. Not once, but every day. It fragments your presence. Because part of you always watches the performance, makes sure it's convincing. You're not living, you're monitoring. This hypervigilance is not weakness, it's wisdom. A wisdom you learned in childhood, or trauma, or heartbreak. A part of you that said, if I'm not perfect, I won't be safe. If I don't prove my worth, I'll be rejected. So you built a structure of survival. And it worked. Until it didn't. Now you're tired. Not because you're doing too much, but because you're being too much that's not you. And this is where Jung's model becomes essential. He teaches that true healing doesn't happen through suppression, but through integration. You don't heal by silencing the tired part. You heal by hearing it, letting it speak, letting it exist without shame. So what does it want to say? Perhaps I miss being soft. I'm tired of pretending I don't need help. I want to feel safe without earning it. I don't want to carry everyone else anymore. These truths don't destroy you. They restore you. Because every time you honor a buried voice, you reclaim energy. Not abstract energy, real, usable, grounded vitality. Energy that doesn't come from stimulation or dopamine hits, but from congruence. From being fully in your body, not half in your thoughts. From living in alignment, not resistance. And this alignment begins in small sacred shifts. You pause before answering. You breathe before reacting. You feel before performing. You say no when your body says no. You let go of fixing and lean into feeling. This is not weakness. This is rewiring. This is nervous system literacy. This is Jungian wholeness in real life. And the most powerful rewiring happens not when you force yourself to be different, but when you stop pretending to be someone you're not. Jung believed that the self is not something we invent, it's something we uncover. Beneath the layers of persona, beneath the learned scripts, beneath the inherited beliefs, there is something untouched, whole, alive, clear. But to reach that place, you must pass through the noise. The inner dialogue that never shuts off, the background hum of worry, the mental simulations of conversations that never happen, the rehearsals for approval, the constant silent work of being acceptable. This work is invisible, but it's exhausting, because every part of you that hasn't been accepted still tries to earn its place. The sad part, the needy part, the weird part, the angry part, the part that wants more, the part that wants less. All of them are knocking, and you've spent a lifetime building walls. Now those walls are draining you, because suppression isn't stillness. It's effort, it's tension, it's resistance in disguise, and the body keeps the score. Your neck tightens, your gut hardens, your breath shortens, not because of what's happening, but because of what's unprocessed. And so you crash, not because you're broken, but because you've reached your limit. This is the moment Jung would call the call to individuation. The moment when the ego structure, your current identity, can no longer hold the truth of who you are becoming. It feels like a crisis, but it's a crossroads. You can keep performing, keep pushing, keep ignoring the signs, or you can descend into presence, into honesty, into sensation, and ask, what am I really tired of? Not just what task, but what truth. Maybe it's the truth that you don't want this life anymore. Maybe it's the truth that success no longer excites you. Maybe it's the truth that you've outgrown your roles. Maybe it's the truth that you're still grieving. Maybe it's the truth that you've never actually felt safe. These truths don't destroy your life. They redirect it. They bring your compass back inside your body. They teach you to rest, not just your limbs, but your masks. They teach you to listen not to expectations, but to intuition. They teach you that wholeness isn't found in achievement. It's found in inclusion of all parts, all voices, all seasons. And from that inclusion, a new kind of rest emerges. Not the kind that collapses, the kind that restores. This kind of rest is not inactivity. It's integration. It's the feeling of being inwardly held. When you no longer abandon yourself to meet external standards. When you no longer betray your energy to meet arbitrary deadlines. When you no longer apologize for your rhythm, your slowness, your softness. Carl Jung wrote about the importance of withdrawing projections. That is reclaiming the energy you've invested in external judgments, comparisons, roles, and illusions. Every time you project a part of yourself outward onto others, onto ideals, you fragment. You leak. You lose coherence. That's why you're tired. You're not just navigating your life. You're navigating the emotional weight of what you've outsourced, the admiration you chase. It's the self-worth you never claimed, the partner you idealize. It's the intimacy you haven't allowed with yourself, the identity you defend. It's the persona you fear losing, the expectations you uphold. They're the internal rules you've never questioned. This is not abstract. It's energetic, psychological, cellular. The body knows the cost, and so it whispers, slow down. Then it nudges pause. Then it screams crash. But you don't have to wait for the crash. You can return now, to presence, to stillness, to truth. You can begin slowly to unwind, to take inventory. What am I carrying? That's not mine. What belief am I upholding that makes me feel tight? What role am I performing that no longer fits? What do I do out of fear, not love? And then one breath at a time you release, not all at once, not violently, but gently, lovingly, compassionately. You let the grief come. You let the tiredness speak. You let the child inside cry. You let the adult inside rest. This is the work. Not becoming more, but becoming you. Not doing harder, but undoing deeper. And from that undoing, new structure forms, not as rules, but as rhythm. Not as discipline, but as devotion. Not as productivity, but as presence. Presence changes everything. Not because it fixes what's wrong, but because it reveals what's real. You begin to see the gap between who you are and who you've been pretending to be. Between what you value and what you tolerate. Between what your soul longs for and what your ego clings to. And in that space, something shifts. You stop rushing to fill the silence. You stop explaining your slowness. You stop apologizing for needing space. You start resting, not as recovery from burnout, but as rebellion against fragmentation. Carl Jung understood that the soul doesn't speak in words. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in sensation. So when your body is tired, it may not be because you need more sleep. It may be because your soul is whispering, I'm not where I belong. So where do you belong? Not in perfection, not in performance, not in endless striving, but in alignment, in congruence, in connection with self. And to return to that space, we must unlearn the noise that says more is better. The noise that says, if you stop, you'll fall behind. The noise that says, you must earn rest. That noise isn't truth. It's programming, inherited from generations who survived, but never learned to live. You have the opportunity now to do it differently, to build a new rhythm where rest is not shameful, where slowness is sacred, where softness is powerful. But how? Through micro shifts that honor macro truths, like waking up and listening before planning, like checking in with your breath before checking your phone, like eating when you're hungry, not when the clock says, like saying, I don't know, instead of pretending, like leaving conversations that contract your body, like ending the day with presence, not just productivity. These are not luxuries. They're structure. Real structure. Soul-aligned structure. Nervous system regulated structure. The kind Jung would call individuation in practice, not just knowing who you are, but living as who you are. even when it's inconvenient, especially then. Because every time you live in truth, you restore your energy. Every time you choose alignment, you stop the leak. Every time you return to self, you rebuild your spine. So here's where we shift from understanding to embodiment, from theory to transformation, from listening to living. Let's ground this into practices, not as things to fix you, but as ways to return to you. Daily application 1. The energy inventory. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that gave you energy and 3 that drained it. Be honest. Don't judge, just notice. This practice builds awareness, without which no shift can begin. Daily application 2. The nervous system reset. Set a timer 3 times a day for 1 minute. In that minute, stop. Place 1 hand on your chest, 1 on your belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6. Let your body know we are safe. This is not a trick, it's a biological signal. Daily application 3. Speak the unspoken. Choose 1 thing you've been holding in, emotionally, mentally, relationally, and give it words. You don't have to share it with anyone. Just write it. Speak it out loud. Bring it into the light. Because what stays unspoken robs your energy silently. Weekly ritual. The soul's Sabbath. Once a week, block 2 hours for nothing. Not to catch up, not to get ahead, not even to rest productively. Just to be. Let your system unwind, your identity loosen, your inner voice rise. Protect this time like a sacred appointment because it is. Real life scenario. Example. Let's say you come home from work and feel drained, but technically nothing bad happened. Instead of defaulting to Netflix or scrolling pause, sit down. Ask yourself, where did I leak today? Maybe it was a meeting where you agreed to something that didn't feel right. Maybe it was a conversation where you swallowed your truth. Maybe it was pushing through when your body asked for a break. Write that down. Honor it. And ask, what would alignment have looked like? This is not guilt. It's recalibration. Now, let's bring this full circle. You are not exhausted because you're lazy. You are not stuck because you lack willpower. You are not broken because you're tired all the time. You are simply ready. Ready to release the invisible weight. Ready to rebuild from alignment. Ready to return to a rhythm that restores. Carl Jung said, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration." You are not here to perfect yourself. You are here to include yourself. Every voice, every truth, every breath. And in that inclusion, you will find energy again, not from stimulation, but from sovereignty. Now I leave you with this. What's one invisible expectation you've been carrying that no longer belongs in your life? Leave your answer in the comments. Not for likes, but as an act of release.